All right, so welcome to another episode of the Lockdown Podcast. I lost count of how many we've done already. It's way over 10, 12, something like that.
Probably.
And so I think I've interviewed or had a conversation with most of our staff, not everyone, but most of them. And I guess the first round of sort of conversations was just for people to get to know you guys. I mean,
Right.
Lots of you guys have been around even longer than I have, or much longer than I have.
Yeah.
But some new people, they just, they saw you guys on stage. They would interact with you guys a little bit.
Right.
But then it was kind of an inside look into, the fact that we're actually just regular people.
I know. And it was helpful kind of just watching those. It was fun to hear people and their insights and what makes them tick and a bunch of stuff. So
Yeah.
I appreciated it.
Yeah.
I think I even learned something new about me when I went back and watched it about
Like, wait,
our
what?
thing. I know. Did I say that?
So I love these. I really love these because they're not like prepared per se. Like there's no like, hey, by the way, this is, except for this one, actually, we do know what we are going to be talking about specifically. Right. But in general, it's just a conversation because we have conversations all the time. I have conversations with the rest of the staff all the time. But I just thought it would be good for people to sort of like listen in onto just like a regular day.
Right.
And so
if we don't sit around with headphones on and microphones like this on a regular conversation.
That would be very strange.
That would be weird.
Very strange. So it's been good and lots has happened. I mean, that's the running joke. I think we might have mentioned it last time. It's like, hey, once we get through the pandemic, then things will go back to normal. I mean, we've given up on that. Let's just not say it anymore.
Dude, I think we throw something at one another if we say that any longer.
Yeah, we don't do it.
That's just not a phrase.
No, we gave up on it. So anyway, lots going on in church. I would say we're sort of like coming back. We're coming back from the pandemic, officially, kind of restarting. Labor Day is coming up. It's kind of a, reigniting of all the church ministries and everything that we have going on. And one of the things that we're doing is we're beginning our second season of 2021 of growth groups.
Yes.
We've had, it's been hit and miss with growth groups, especially during the pandemic. But one of the things that I wanted for us to talk about is, again, this is not like a sales pitch or anything, but just I personally, truly, truly, truly believe in growth groups. I truly believe that call them growth groups, call them life groups, call them small groups. I don't care. A group. I think because there's something very special about being in a group, being in a circle, as opposed to sitting in a chair on Sunday, which there's a place for. Right. Sitting on a chair on Sundays, listening to someone talk for 30 minutes.
Absolutely.
So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, as we talk about it, because it's many times, entry point at church has always been just come to a service and you sit and you enjoy it. And if they keep coming back, which sometimes people don't, they'll go somewhere else or they don't. But if they keep coming back to churches because it fills a need for them. Yeah. But even if that's all you do, after a while, even that starts to fade a bit. And so one of the things is we're telling people all the time is we want you to get plugged in. Come and do more than just come on Sunday morning. Now get to know people, get plugged in and build a relationship, connect with one another, but also have a chance to interact versus just, like you said, kind of the one-way communication. And so growth groups have always been a part of what the church is about. It talks about it in Scripture, but it's almost one of the first places we take people when they say, hey, I'm just starting to feel a little stagnant. Yeah. And like, hey, what else, like the fire, the excitement, what's going on? We're just like, hey, why don't you look at this? Because this is all part of the big whole picture, the holistic thing. But sometimes it's not something that just jumps at you. Right. Which is, I think, a huge benefit for us at church that we talk about it now, but we also make this twice a year. Yeah. Let's do it. Mm-hmm. Encourage people to jump in.
Yeah, it's a big deal. It's important. If you guys hear any noises around, I just want you guys to make sure we're installing a new AC system as we're speaking right now. So just don't let that distract you too much. It's probably louder to us than it is to you guys. But yeah, one of the things I heard once somebody say, and I think I might have read it in an article, is reasons why people like a church, and then reasons why people stay in a church. Right. So like people will like a church, for example, for the preaching, or they'll like it for the worship, or they'll like it for the environment, right? But that's not why they stay.
Correct.
People stay because of their relationships that they form.
Absolutely. Another pastor wrote about this years ago, but the concept was turning your church into a sticky church. And the idea was just that. How do people stick? And it's always going to be when they start getting connected versus when they're just a participant.
Yeah.
And so I think those are big concepts to help people say, take that step. If you haven't done so yet, do it.
Yeah.
Because it's huge in your spiritual growth.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that we did, if you guys don't know, I pastored a church in Chile for 6 years between 2010 and 2016. And one of the things that we did, there was a smaller church when we started, and then it grew. It was God, blessed that church and everything. One of the key things for us with growth groups, and I'll speak on a personal level. Our growth group, the people that we are closest to right now, to this day, were the people that we connected with in a group.
Absolutely. My wife and I really the same thing. I mean, I've been in growth groups prior to being married, different situations, but with Lisa and I, and then when we came here after just a couple of years being married, the growth groups that we had early on are still some of our dearest friends. And even though we haven't been in a group together, and matter of fact, all of them have moved out to other places just in life, we're still in contact with them. Some of them are still aunts and uncles to my son, and they're people I go to just, when I need prayer, when we need fun, or when we're in the area to connect.
Yeah.
So yeah, lifelong friendships.
That's very cool. Yeah, a couple of things that we say on Sundays, kind of the phrases that we repeat over and over again is people learn in rows but grow in circles.
Yes.
Right? Also, we say, as our church gets larger, it also has to get smaller. Right?
Right.
And another thing that I think is really important to understand is that I don't know where I heard this again in my memory. I might have read it in an article or heard somebody say it, but somebody once said, when you go to church on Sunday, he said, nobody changes on a Sunday. People want to change on a Sunday.
Gotcha.
Right? But the change actually happens, like the life change happens in a small group.
Right, because there's accountability, but there's also just diving into things. And you and I both know, I mean, Sunday, we'll use that terminology there. When people come in, they're hearing whatever the information, whatever the message, whatever the verse is, they're hearing it for the first time, and it's just sinking in. And you're right, not much can do stuff. But when you chew on it during the week, you think about it, or you go to your group, you have a discussion about it, good, bad, or indifferent, still changes happen. I want to point out, you mentioned earlier just about the growth group, you pastored that in your church, and how that's how churches, as they get larger, they have to continue to get smaller. And I would say, that's especially true in any church growing in size, but when there's multiple services. And even though we have an English and a Spanish service, two different languages, which is a little more difficult right now. A church that we were at before Lisa and I came here was running 4 identical services on the weekend, 3 Sunday, 1 Saturday night. And as the church got bigger by numbers, the only way you could still stay connected was in growth groups, because you could be involved with somebody in a group that doesn't necessarily attend even the same worship hour that you go to. So there could be some ways to cross that road. So that's an encouragement here at church too. Ways to get connected with people that you don't see right around you in worship is to get involved in groups, because you might be connected with them in other ways like that.
Right. Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah. And so, we're doing, traditionally, well, I say tradition, I've only been here 2 years. We don't have traditions yet. But in the past,
152-year-old church, right?
Exactly. So this is our 3rd growth group season that we're just starting since I've been here. But initially we did all sermon based. It was all sermon based. So basically, what a sermon based group is you have the Sunday sermon, and then there's a study guide that goes with that.
Right.
And so the goal is you meet in groups. I preach on a Sunday, and then if your group meets on Wednesday, you have your group there. There's a study guide that is basically a question version or a study guide version of the message. And so the goal of these groups is application.
Right.
So you take the Sunday message, and it's like basically the big question is, now what? Right.
Correct.
And so what I'm loving about this season is that it's a little bit different than the last ones, in the sense that we do have a number of sermon-based groups, but then we also have groups that are not sermon-based. They're all Bible-based,
right,
but they're not sermon-based per se.
Correct.
But they're like a women's group. They have a book that they're going through. There's a couple other groups that are just going through books of the Bible. We have a group that's doing the Bible in 6 years, which is a big challenge, but it's a beautiful thing, and I love the diversity.
Right. So, yeah, and matter of fact, that's what I was working on this morning with our office staff, just kind of trying to clarify that again. So if you haven't seen it, they can go online, they can look at it. But really, yeah, the 3 main groups are the sermon-based discussion group, kind of a Sunday school class, which is through the Bible in 6 years, a survey of the scripture. And then the rest are all just Bible studies with something specific topically that are out there, and it's a good mix of all of those because about half of them are the sermon-based studies. The other half are all of those and our youth ministry, which I think is going to be following what Francis has been preaching on, the same kind of a thing. So
they have their study guides that go with their lessons
Right.
too, and so
and they'll have those going on a regular basis, junior high, high school, young adults, everything.
Right,
Cool.
exactly. And so we're starting our fall growth group season. Call it fall growth group.
Yeah.
Sure. Second season, season 2 of 2021.
Right.
Starting on September 5th, which is this Sunday. And I just want to highly encourage everyone to sign up for a group. I know for some people, like we've been in church for a while, and so for us, you just go to a group, you show up at a
Right.
group, right? But some people, it's a big step. It's
It
a
is.
big step. And so what would you say to those people that are kind of on the fence about it or a little scared?
Right. Well, in general, I'd say go for it.
do it, right? Yeah.
Because again, the trade-off is huge, and really, the step isn't as scary as I think it is in our minds. Because part of it is, again, if you've just been coming to church on Sunday, you might know one or two people around you, but there's not much interaction. They apparently like you or whoever else is on stage or the worship. Like they're coming back, but will I like them if I get in a conversation?
Yeah.
Or will I be like maybe kind of the feeling they have?
Yeah.
Them themselves. So I would say go for it. Find a group. And so they could go on our church website and find it. And they could just sign up online.
Yeah.
Once they do, we'll get the information back to them. But there's a whole roster they can look at there. They can do it on Sunday mornings. That is great. There's a lot of things to choose from variety-wise. There's any group works because you have to find a group that will work for your time. I will kind of put a bit of a commercial here, a plug in. But if you're really truly new to our church, or you're really just not sure, and especially if you've been somebody who's gone through like Growth Track or whatever, I want to invite them to come on a Wednesday night because we have something for all age groups on Wednesday nights. And so from elementary, junior high, high school, adults, English, Spanish, everything is available here. And I do one specifically on Wednesday night that I lead that's geared at people who are newer to our church or newer to growth groups.
Yeah.
And so it really is much more of a basic or more of an entry level, let's go through this together and learn together, not assuming you know
Right.
how it works.
Right.
So that's a great place to go, but any group would work well to get you in there because any leader could help get you acclimated easily.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we have different ways to sign up. You kind of went through them quickly. I'll just to be more specific. On Sundays, you could sign up in person. We
Right.
could just like a literal sheet of paper that you write your name on, and then you hand that in, and then the leader will contact you. You can also go online, downeyfirst.org, and
Right.
then you go to groups, and then in that button, you're going to find the group. You sign up there. Leader will contact you just to go through the details and stuff like that. Also, there's a QR code that we put on the screen on Sundays, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to put everything on the show notes so people can just
Cool.
link directly to that. And so yeah, it's funny that you say, just do it.
Right.
Like, just do it. I'll be more even specific in the sense that if you've been coming to church for a while,
Right.
and you've never been in a group, you're really missing out. You're missing out. That's your next step. Your next step is to be in a group. And I
Right.
promise you're going to be blessed. One of the things that I'm going to start preaching on this Sunday is a series on Philippians chapter 4 that talks about the whole idea of anxiety. It's like,
Okay.
be anxious for nothing is the title of the sermon series. And one of the things that scripture talks about is filling our minds with everything that's good, everything that is beautiful, everything that has a good name, like all these things in your mind. And one of the best ways to do that is to surround yourself with people that are going to have your
Amen.
back, that are going to help you, that are going to pray for you and stuff like that.
Right. Absolutely. And so, we said it, just do it. I start thinking it's almost like growing up. We all look back, and at some point we could look at our life and say, I didn't know what I didn't know. And then you knew it and you're like, wow,
Right.
that's great. It's kind of like that with growth group. Like you haven't done that. You don't know what all it's there, but trust me and trust you and others that have been there that once you get plugged into one, you're going to love it
Yeah.
because that's where you're truly going to start growing. And it's another step really in your spiritual journey. It's one that is helping you grow in ways that we can't ever achieve in
Yeah.
just Sunday morning, one-way communication, worship service.
That's right.
So-
That's right. All right. Any closing thoughts? Are we good?
No, but I was going to say, if you said you could put all those things in the sermon notes, but I'd always say, if all else fails, pick up the phone, just call church office.
Oh, yeah.
Leave a message. Go ahead. Can somebody call me back for growth groups? Because we will.
That easy.
Yeah, we'll make sure you get the information and get you going.
That's right.
And the other part, I know that we want to get people to start, because the earlier you get started, the better from the beginning, but they could begin at any point in time, right?
Absolutely.
Like, it's not if you don't join this Sunday,
Yeah.
sorry, sit out until January.
No,
Like,
no, right.
You come in at any point in time,
Yeah.
show up.
Yeah, and the other thing is that the growth groups are seasonal.
Right.
In other words, when you're not signing up from now until eternity. Like, you're
Right.
signing up from now into mid-November,
Right.
and then groups are over, and then we restart them the next year. So the 2 seasons per year with breaks in between. So you're not signing your whole life over, and it's not a lifetime commitment.
Right.
It's really just a few weeks. It's like 12 weeks, 15 weeks, something like that.
And I mean, we can, kind of say honestly why that happens. I mean, part of it is life changes at times. Your jobs change, your kids. I mean, you can't sign up forever and ever.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes just whatever it is, you just may not work. It's not a good time. And we've had people come to us. Sometimes maybe it just doesn't work. The people that we're just asking you, make a commitment for the short time, do that
Right.
season. And when it happens again, then sign up at a different time if you need to.
That's right.
And I've bounced out of groups before and other ones just because sometimes you just didn't click. But
Yeah.
when you find places and you do, it works. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's all part of God's design.
Absolutely.
I mean, absolutely, there's groups out there for us. So I would say, go for it.
Just do it. Just do it.
Just do it.
All right. All right, you guys. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.
All right. Bye.
Bye.